Can you compress a CD to sound like an LP? Okay, this question comes from Ken in Fort Collins, Colorado, just north of us up there. We've got, what, I think two of our people that work here drive from Fort Collins every day. It's a bit of a schlep, but we really appreciate them coming. So Ken writes, is it possible to put a switch or mode into a DAC that will allow you to compress the signal to, say, the 60 or 70 dB a record that records have, thus revealing what some say makes the record experience better than digital? I'm thinking of just lowering the gain so the dynamic range is less. I understand that I'm talking about distortion and compromising your product's true quality, but as a means of convincing record files that the compression is really the only difference, not counting noise, groove, rumble, wow, and flutter, and dust pops. Well, on the one hand, you could, certainly, and it's something that we have thought about doing for a while. You can't just reduce the dynamic range without active compression. I mean, it's got to go somewhere, right? You don't want to lose the information. So if we have dynamic range, let's say of a CD that's being used, it's 100, we're going to have to take that down to 60 or 70 dB to mimic an LP, a vinyl. Now, typically that is done using a compressor, and those, those are complex devices. They can, they compress the dynamic range in a way that is as natural sounding as possible. And yeah, there are digital compressors, and we've talked about in our upcoming transport, we're going to have a graphic equalizer that you can be specific with a track or a whole CD or whatever you want, and tag it and then kind of tune it and tweak it the way you want in case it isn't the best recording on the planet. One of those things we can we could also do is add a compressor. I haven't really thought that through very much. I'm sure there are off-the-shelf compression algorithms that could be used. It might be an interesting experiment to see, because one of the advantages that records have that might at first seem like a disadvantage is this compressed dynamic range. But if you think about it, for average listening levels, if you have too much dynamic range, more than you could practically use as in a CD, you're losing even in a relatively quiet environment, you might be dropping off some of the valuable cues and information that is contained in the music. And when we compress and bring up the bottom end, which is generally what's done as opposed to bringing down the top. So just imagine here's high. What we do is we expand and bring up louder the bottom end so that now it fits into this space, because records can't have super low information down there. It'll get lost in the noise and all, and there's not enough dynamic range on the record. So by bringing up the bottom, then we get more information and it sounds like more is there. If we did that on a CD, you'd have a very similar experience, and maybe that's something we'll experiment with. I mean, I kind of like the idea. So can you do it? Yeah, you could definitely do that, and might be kind of fun to try. All right, good question. Thank you, and shameless plug, if you have a moment, please go to Amazon, pick up a copy of my new book, 99% True. I think you're going to enjoy it. I wrote it for you, and it's fun. It's a fun read, more like a novel than a memoir. There's some hair-raising stuff in here. Get the audiobook. It's really the most fun. All right, talk to you later. Bye.